Welcome to Constructive Conversations, the podcast dedicated to raising the standard of excellence in light construction. I'm your host, Colton Lingle. Each episode will explore the people, products, and processes that are shaping the future of this industry. From practical insights to proven best practices, you'll discover how to build better businesses, relationships, and buildings. This is where excellence isn't just expected, it's the baseline. Get ready, because today's constructive conversation starts now. Welcome to Constructive Conversations. I'm Colton Lingle, and this is Collin Rife.
Hey.
This is an introduction to Collin. He is actually the first face that most of our clients see from our company. We have Dave, our office manager, usually calls people, sets the appointments, but Collin's the guy that shows up. He is our salesman. He is the guy that tackles all the estimating for us. So bringing him on here to introduce him to you so that when I reference Collin, you know who I'm talking about. And then just have a conversation about how we try and curate our client interactions, how we try and create those client relationships, and what we do to encourage those. But first of all, Collin, where are you from? Favorite ice cream flavor, and least favorite NHL team? For context, Collin was sitting right here behind the camera when I just interviewed Phil, and I said NFL team for that. So he was expecting that. I threw it in there. But we can do a twofer. You can tell us your least liked NFL team too.
Okay. Yeah, so my name's Collin Rife. I am from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, which is pretty close to the Maryland border. My favorite ice cream flavor, it definitely varies, but usually it's chocolate chip cookie dough. I also love anything with peanut butter, so that's an easy win. But
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to remember that.
And then I do watch a lot of sports, so this is not a hard question for me to answer. NHL wise, I'm a Penguins fan, so I do not like the Capitals. I don't like the Flyers. Those are probably the main two teams. And then NFL, I'm a Steelers fan, so Pittsburgh. So the Ravens are definitely the least favorite team.
I saw that coming a mile away. I knew that one already. So as we're talking and thinking about our client relationships, you're obviously the spearhead of that. You're the first person to really have an in-depth interaction with our clients. Walk me through that initial sales call as you're going out there. What are the things that you're thinking about? What are the things you're doing to try and develop that client relationship?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it comes down to trying to get to know the person a little bit, try to get to know what they're looking for, what they're expecting, maybe what they've experienced in the past with other contractors, other people that have come out to look at the job, and then trying to assess, how we can help them. What are some things that we can do maybe a little bit better than other companies, or maybe just different? What are some ways that we can, and if there's like little things that they mention that maybe aren't officially a part of the project, but something that you can tell is a big goal of theirs or something that they would love to see happen. Trying to keep a mental note of that, and trying to come back to those maybe during the project or at the end of the project. But yeah, mostly just getting to know them, getting to understand what they're looking for and how we can best serve them.
Okay. So you're asking a lot of questions.
Yep, lots of questions.
You are looking for those little details that they bring up. Can you think of any of those little details that you've noticed that have been beneficial later on when we're trying to maybe continue to sell the project for them, or maybe it's handed over to me and we're trying to complete that project? Can you think of any of those little details?
Yeah, I think a lot of times it comes up with our decking and our railing products. because living in the mountains, living in basically a rainforest here, wood is something that's kind of in some ways it's a necessary evil, but at the same time, a lot of customers want to get away from it because
Sure,
that means
right.
maintenance, that means upkeep and rotting and stuff like that. So looking for ways to alleviate that issue for them. So whether it's, composite decking, PVC decking, and then also looking through all the different ways to accomplish railing for them that doesn't involve wood, which there are a lot of ways, but then you also, some customers are a little more picky about what type of railing they have or what they want it to look
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
So just being flexible and being attentive and listening to what they want and helping them out with that.
Would you say that you've found a lot of benefit in making sure that we're up to date on the products that we offer and what's available to offer? Have you found that to be beneficial?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of times customers, before we get there, will do their own research, which is nice because then they know exactly what they're looking for, but they will do their own research to figure out what kind of products they want. And so when they're asking you about them or asking me about them when I'm there, it's important to have some knowledge about what they're talking about and be able to understand what they're looking for and be able to find it for them. So whenever we're able to go out to the Deck Expo or IBS and seeing the new products that are available from the different suppliers, staying up to date and current on what's out there and what's available for us, that's always helpful, and it just keeps your knowledge base sharp.
So we've walked through that initial meeting, that initial walkthrough, building that estimate. Walk me through what you're trying to do from maybe, how to put this, after you've built that initial estimate, you're working on building that proposal to send to them. Walk me through what that process looks like and what you're trying to do to help create an excellent experience for our client along the way.
Yeah. So part of it is getting a proposal to them in a timely manner. I've definitely found that a lot of the positive feedback that we get, either to me or to him, is that most companies do not get back to them in a timely manner, do not get back to them at all sometimes. And so our goal is a 24-hour turnaround as far as from the time we go to the appointment the next day, trying to get a proposal sent to them. And so that's a big key for sure, seeing that we're on top of things, that we care about them, we care about their project. And if that can't happen for various reasons, then communicating with them that, hey, we haven't forgot about you. We're still working on it. We'll get it to you as soon as we can. And then I try to listen also to what kind of things they want itemized, what kind of things they want separated. If they have different requests and they're curious about one thing, but they're not sure about it, making a separate proposal or making it a separate line item. And then when I send an email, I usually try to highlight something specific that we talked about. Whether it's, hey, I looked up this railing type and this is what it would cost for this.
Sure.
I looked up this other deck that you mentioned, and this is kind of a ballpark for that. Just giving them options, and then also just letting them know that nothing in the proposal, or not everything in the proposal, is set in stone. Everything is, we can change it. It's moldable to what they need, whether it's budget or likes or dislikes. So just kind of, again, putting that personal touch and remembering kind of what you've discussed with them and making sure they understand that you're on top of it.
And then once that proposal goes out to them, there's follow-up. Can you walk me through how you're trying to, because obviously not everybody buys clicks the accept, signs that proposal right away. Can you walk me through how you try and keep that relationship going through that process of maybe they're just not ready yet? So how are you trying to build and create that relationship? Obviously, you're making a lot of calls to them, leaving a lot of voicemails sometimes, but sometimes there's that opportunity to build relationships along the way. How are you trying to do that, and what are some of the tools that you have at your disposal to do that?
Yeah. So probably the first thing that I do before I send the proposal is typically I try to send a thank you note to the customer that I've seen, just kind of saying like, thank you for letting me come look at this project. Thank you for giving our company
Mhm.
a chance to bid on it. Um, and I also try to highlight in there something that we talked about or something about them that they shared with me. Whether they have dogs and just, saying, yeah, it was good to meet Fido or whatever his name was, and then outside of that, after I've sent the proposal to the customer, um, in an ideal situation, I usually call them right after that to kind of try to discuss it with them over the phone as they're first seeing it. Um, that way, the idea would be to alleviate any issues or conflicts or complications.
Sure.
Because as soon as they see it,
Yeah.
they're mostly looking at the price. That's like the first thing
Mhm.
they look at.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's somewhat of sticker shock to them, depending on what the project is. And so trying to talk them through like, okay, yeah, this is the price, but here's, what piece by piece, what we've done and what we put together. And this is, you asked for this specific thing and this is where we're at with that.
Mhm.
And then also providing options of like, okay, so we did, price this decking, but there's other options that are similar. It might be a little more cost effective or, it might have a similar
Mhm.
look, similar feel to it. And then after that, like you said, just sending, emails, texts, making phone calls, and just trying to keep that line of communication open, to say like, hey, we're interested in your project, we're interested in you, we wanna help you with this task that you want done, and we're not going to just give up on it. We're here to help you with it, and we care about it. So
Yeah. I've certainly, from my perspective, I've seen your consistency pay off, and just reaching back out and following up with people. And, not that you're being like rude or pushy or anything, but just trying to stay top of mind with people. And um, you know, the clients that come back to us, sometimes it's taken a year of you calling them consistently, and just following up with them. And it's, when I say call consistently, you're not calling them every day,
no,
but
yeah, we had a client just recently that we've been talking to since basically a year ago, and I'd been following up with him periodically since March or February, and he just now decided to sign with us a week or two ago. So
Mhm.
my wife will definitely attest to the fact that I am very persistent. Sometimes to a fault, but yeah, very persistent. So it kind of fits in this line of work.
Yes, yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, Collin Collin is competitive. He heads up our softball team every summer, and that competitiveness comes out even more on the field. And we always like to see it because he's far more athletic than I am. So, huge benefit to our team that he's out there and competitive. Um, how do you? Um, let's Let me see how to word this well. You're the face of the company. Um, what is, or one of the faces, I'll say, of the company. Um, what is your thought process going in? Because you also have the opportunity to go meet other people, not just clients. Go out and talk to people that could be potential referrals for us. Um, what are you trying to do there? What's your thought process when you're trying to meet with those people? What are you trying to gain from those conversations? Where do you see that being beneficial for you as having more opportunities to then go out and make sales calls, and have opportunities that way, but just to grow opportunities for the business? What's the thought process there that you have going into that?
Yeah. So like you said, being the face, I try to set the expectation of what our company is going to
Yeah.
be like, what the process is going to be like. Um, and I think, even just recently, one of our clients commented that way, and that, they've had a good experience with me and how, so far, leading up to
Hmm.
the project. And so they're excited for what that means for their production and then what
Sure.
their deck's going to look like, what their new house is going to look like, essentially. And so, yeah, I think it's just trying to set the expectations, set the precedent for the production side. And thankfully, I feel like they make my job pretty easy because honestly say like, yes, this project is going to be done well.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be on time. They're going to show up. They're going to be responsible. And those aren't things that every salesperson could say. It's not something every company can say,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. And so, yeah, definitely having a solid production crew makes my job easier, makes my selling easier because I know I'm selling a quality product. And so just kind of setting that up for them to be successful um, allows me to be successful as well, give me the confidence to sell.
Yeah. So the thank you, because that's helpful for those that are listening that are maybe you guys are the face of your company. Maybe you own it and it's yours personally, but remembering that it's not always just you as the face of the company. Like there's a lot of people and a lot of stuff behind you, and maybe it is just you and you're the face of the company from start to finish, but you've got to almost put yourself in different buckets, to remember that, I may show up with my salesman hat on today, but tomorrow I'm going to show up with my production hat on. And am I giving myself a good reputation along the way? And I can say that Collin does a great job. That was the one that came to mind, was that conversation you had mentioned with this one client, that they're really impressed with you. I know so many times people have said, "Oh yeah, you've got great guys. I love Collin." And one of these days, you guys will get to meet Dave as well. He's our office manager. He's our lead setter. So when you initially call in to the company, he's the guy you talk to. Hear great things of him, and then obviously back of house production. Um, but what is one thing what is one experience prior to coming to, or maybe a couple experiences prior to coming to work for Mountain Decks and Exteriors, that helped equip you for what you do now, and building those relationships with the client, continue moving that forward? What are some experiences that you had before that were beneficial to you coming in and working and being that face of the company, so to speak?
Yeah, I've had a couple experiences in the past that have kind of driven this. I would say so. Working at camp
Mm-hmm.
and on the program side of it, where that's also what you're doing. You're being the face of the camp, face of
Mm-hmm.
the activities, fun time, all that kind of stuff. And so that side of it, and just kind of the hospitality side of it, I think is one big thing that I learned during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then also being in management, in retail, obviously
Mm-hmm.
you see almost every customer and you are not always the first face, but you are the one of the biggest faces that they're going to see and that they're going to interact with. And it's still hospitality in a way. I mean, because you want them to
Oh,
have a
sure,
positive
sure.
experience. You want them to come back. You want them to get what they expected to get out of their trip. And so similarly with this job, being the face of the person that they see first when, I'm the first one that goes on the job site. And they have
Mm-hmm.
preconceived notions of construction, of contractors. Maybe a lot of them have had bad experiences in the past
Mm-hmm.
with poor contractors. Maybe they didn't do something completely, didn't finish the job, or they felt like they were overcharged for what they got, kind of thing. And so you have some things that you kind of have to combat. And I think, like I said, just being open, being honest, listening to them, um, allows you to kind of set the tone for your company, and then for the future with the production crews when they come in to actually do the work. And you have that um, initial face that says, okay, yeah, they actually care about me. They care about my
Mm-hmm.
project, what I care about, and so I'm excited to have their guys come and do the work for me. So
So hospitality and retail management, and knowing that the that first impression matters. Um, we talk about on our website, um, building first impressions, and that doesn't just mean having that great curb appeal, so to speak, from the real estate perspective, but it also building that great first impression from a company perspective and from an experiential perspective. Um, you've heard me talk about going from UG to AH. Can you think of, and that's one of the internal mottos that we kind of have, is that I'm trying to work us through and help us understand is going from ugh to yeah. Can you think of a project where you came into the situation and the client was very much on the don't like this side, and what you were able to do, maybe just specifics on how you were able to start that process of going from to okay, we got this.
Yeah, there was a client that I went to see probably about 3 months ago, um, and you could tell from the start that he was a different person. He was kind of unique, and just also not. He was kind of quiet. He didn't say a whole lot, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of going through my process of like looking over the deck. He wanted to get new decking and new railings on his deck, and so looked underneath, looked at the joists, and he had already had about at least five other contractors come out to look at his job. And so I was kind of reviewing with him what I saw, what I found, and I had mentioned that I found some joists that had rotted underneath. And apparently, out of all the other five, I was the only one that mentioned that, which again, sad. But um, I think that kind of somewhat developed a rapport with him. And as we talked more, he later related that he had recently lost his father, and so that kind of explains some of his disposition. He was a little standoffish, and he even said he's hard to trust people. And I'm sure going through that makes it even harder. So
Yeah.
as we continued to talk, I think he realized that, I was truly caring about him more than really the project. I mean, obviously I would love to, do the project for him, but I'm really more like
Mm-hmm.
I was more compassion for him because that's a really tough position to be in. And it was his dad's house, so there's a lot of memories there and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it was just hard. But long term, not long after that, he signed with us, and I think he was very grateful that I was willing to share things with him that maybe other people hadn't seen or hadn't been willing to share. And then just again, the human element of being able to relate to him and
Mm-hmm.
understand that he's going through something tough, and that's a lot more important than what we're trying to do for him. But
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That old adage my dad used to tell me all the time: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Um, and we could be the greatest deck builders in the world, greatest at installing siding, have amazing projects that just look amazing, but if there isn't that human element there of having a great experience as a client, having a great relationship with them, caring about them as a person, then um then one, it kind of makes everything feel a little cold.
Mhm.
But I can say with certainty I wouldn't enjoy my job as much if all we're doing is going to build a deck and make it look really nice, but then the client's just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. um I, the best part is the relationship with the client and how excited they can be.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all the work that you put into having a great starting that great relationship and then handing that off. And we work really hard to not fumble the ball as that handoff happens, and not ruin that trust they've built with you along the way as we take that project over and do it in the back of the house. But um yeah, I love having Collin on. Love getting to hear his perspective and his thought process into what he does for the company. And like we've said multiple times, really, he is the face of the company. At the start, it doesn't help that we have very similar names, Colton and Collin. So a lot of folks get a little confused when Collin hands it off to Colton, and they can never remember who was actually out on the job site the first time. And so sometimes that actually works to our advantage, because then it just feels really seamless and they actually feel like it's the same person.
Yeah.
So it makes me chuckle. Um, but I appreciate all your hard work and what you do for us. I appreciate the testimony that you have, the relationship that you have with our clients, and the hard work you put into that. So thank you. Thanks for coming on. This is new for me. Is this your first podcast ever?
I've done one other one.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
it wasn't construction based.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I'll ask him off camera what that was, and we'll go from there. Thanks for listening to Constructive Conversations. Stay humble, stay busy, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on Constructive Conversations, where we're raising the standard of excellence one episode at a time. If you found today's discussion valuable, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you know a homeowner or contractor who could benefit from these insights, share this podcast with them. Until next time, keep building smarter, keep raising the bar, and keep the conversation constructive.